Everyone, welcome back to Minds Mind Tutorials. Our today's topic is bioluminescence, and in this video segment, or we can say in this video session, we will be going through the text first. Then, with the text, we will be explaining each and every topic. So, let's get started. The first topic here is introduction, and in introduction statement is bioluminescence is the controlled production of light by organisms. So what is bioluminescence? Bioluminescence is something when living organisms emit light, then this type of phenomena is known as bioluminescence. And bioluminescence is a controlled production of light by organisms. One is fascinated with the phosphorescence of the oceans at night and the flickering glows of fireflies. Many times we see oceans displaying different light colors and different lights during night time, and some fireflies which show flickering glows. These all happens due to bioluminescence. These phenomena have attracted the attention of biologists and common men since long, and this type of phenomena have attracted many biologists. The production of light by living organisms is similar to the production of light by molecular systems known as chemiluminescence. There is a new term here known as chemiluminescence. So what is the difference between chemiluminescence and bioluminescence? Chemiluminescence is the production of light by molecular systems, whereas bioluminescence is the production of light by living organisms. So these are two kinds of luminescence we are seeing here. First is chemiluminescence, second one is bioluminescence. In living organisms, production of light is through reactions catalyzed by specific enzymes. The energy absorbed by some molecules is released in the form of light. Now what is happening in bioluminescence? In some living organisms, this production of light is through some reactions which are catalyzed by specific enzymes. And when these type of reactions happens, the energy is released out, or energy is absorbed by some molecules, and it is released in the form of light. Now, bioluminescence is interesting not only as a biological phenomena but also because it serves as a basis of several analytical methods. It serves as a good tool for the analysis of phytochemical reactions and indicates the nature of important biological activities such as photosynthesis. So, not only for some biological phenomena it is interesting, there are many several analytical methods which are related, or we can say completely dependent on bioluminescence. Some biological activities such as photosynthesis can also be explained through bioluminescence, and it is also used to study the kinetics of biological rate processes and effects of narcotic drugs etc. on living systems. Bioluminescence is observed in scattered groups of organisms like bacteria, fungi, flagellates, coelentrates, insects, annelids, and fishes. However, no terrestrial vertebrate is bioluminescent. So this point is very important here, that no terrestrial vertebrate. Now what is terrestrial? Organisms which live on land, whose habitat is on land, are known as terrestrial. So there are no terrestrial vertebrates which are bioluminescent. In fresh water, only a few bacteria and mollusks show this phenomena, and also in fresh water only there are some few bacteria and mollusks which are showing this bioluminescence. And it appears that there is no special advantage to organisms exhibiting this phenomena. For bacteria or protozoans which are phosphorescent, no useful purpose is served by this property. There is one property also which is known as phosphorescence. When some organisms show light in the form of phosphorescence, then it is known as phosphorescent property. So there are some bacteria and protozoa which show phosphorescence, and they have no useful purpose of this property. Similarly, it is true with the annelid Chaetopteris, which is tubicolous and never comes out of its tube. This type of organism, which is an annelid, it is tuberculous, and tuberculous means something which always lives in tube, which never comes out of its tube. So Chaetopteris is tuberculous. It is believed that bioluminescence is a byproduct of chemical reactions and it helps in attracting the prey, but there is no conclusive evidence. Some organisms use it as a defensive mechanism, as in the squid, Heteroteuthis, and as a lure for some small prey in food capture in anglerfish. Bioluminescence also plays a role in reproductive behavior of marine and terrestrial animals. So what is bioluminescence useful for? Bioluminescence is useful for attracting prey, for capturing food. In anglerfishes, they use for food capturing of their prey, and in some organisms it is used for communication. In some organisms it is useful for reproductive behavior of marine and terrestrial animals, etc. Next topic is types of bioluminescence. Now in types of bioluminescence, there are three fundamentally different patterns. So there are kind of three bioluminescence which we will be seeing. The first bioluminescence is symbiotic bioluminescence. Now as the name suggests, symbiotic is something when two different organisms or we can say group of organisms live together and they help each other out. Okay. So symbiotic bioluminescence is kind of bioluminescence in which there are some kind of bacteria which live in different fishes or different organisms and help them to glow, or we can say emit light. So now let's see the statement. Some of the animals depend on symbiotic bacteria which grow in special tissue sac. These sacs may be provided with reflectors, lenses and pigment curtains to control the emission of light. So there are some animals which depend completely on symbiotic bacteria, and these symbiotic bacteria grow in special tissue sac. So where they are growing in special kind of tissue sac or organs, and this sac may be provided with reflector, lenses, pigment curtains which help to, we can say, reflect the light more easily. Now in the family Anomalopeidae of fishes, family, there is a conspicuous elongated organ just below the eye. So just below the eye there is kind of organ. The organ in fishes, okay, the organ is formed of long glandular tubes filled with luminous bacteria. Now in this organ there is long glandular tubes, and in those tubes luminous bacteria are there. Tubes are supplied by blood vessels. Now the tubes are completely supplied with blood vessels. The organ has pores to the outside and a reflector layer at the rear. Now these organs has pores to the outside so that reflection will be nice, and a reflector layer at the rear. The bacteria luminescence continuously. Now the bacteria which is living inside luminescence continuously, but the light, or we can say emit light continuously, but the light can be intermittently concealed in some species by turning the organ downward. But in some species there are some kind of phenomena in which they just put this type of tube or the organ in a way that it doesn't look that it is emitting light. So this is a kind of phenomena until its light surface is covered by a pocket of black pigmented tissue, while in others a fold of black tissue can be drawn up over the light surface like an eyelid. So there are some type of phenomena in which they can show that they are not emitting light, but in actual the bacteria are continuously emitting the light, but they are showing it differently. Okay. Of luminescence, which is extracellular luminescence. Now the name is suggesting that luminescence will be occurring outside. So in many organisms the light producing reactants are expelled to the exterior where actual reactions in production of light occur. So in some organisms the reactants which are helpful in bioluminescence are released out of the body or emitted out of the body, discarded out of the body, and out of the body the bioluminescence takes place. Okay, so these type of things also happens, and this type of light production is called as extracellular luminescence. So when something is happening outside, we are saying it extracellular luminescence. It is common among the marine invertebrates. Now this type of luminescence is common in marine invertebrates but rare among the terrestrial invertebrates. In terrestrial invertebrates it is not common. And the fishes. Secretions may appear as a luminous slime over the surface of the body as in balanogloscids, or as a discrete scintillating points of light in little nudibranch Phalarobucifolia, but in some cases these extrudes are suddenly released in luminescent cloud as in some of the pelagic shrimps. Now there may be different sorts of methods. First method can be they may organisms may secrete a kind of luminous slime over the surface of the body, such as in melanoglossates. Or some organisms may show discrete scintillating points. We can say they will show like points differently, okay, like this. Now this type of discrete scintillating points of light in little nudibranch can be seen, and in some organisms they just make a luminescent cloud out of them. For example, this is our organism, okay, this is the organism, so it will just release a big cloud of light and just escape out from its enemy. So these type of things can happen in extracellular luminescence, and these happens in pelagic shrimps, okay. And also in the boring bivalve Pholus dactylus. Now these type of organisms which are bivalves Pholus dactylus, they also make a cloud which is a luminescent cloud, and we can say they come under extracellular luminescence. The luminescent organs are made up of a large number of elongated flask or club shaped cells called as photocytes. Okay, so the luminescent organs are made up of elongated flask or club shaped cells which are known as photocytes. They usually occur as patches of unicellular glands interspersed with mucous cells. So these cells occur as patches of unicellular glands and which are interspersed with mucous cells. Sometimes they are grouped into compact masses. The epithelial area concerned may be epidermal, as in Chaetopterus and Pholas, or it may be coelomic, as in earthworm or pelagic shrimps, green gland secretion. So sometimes these organisms are grouped in compact masses, or sometimes the epithelial area is concerned may be epidermal. Okay, so epithelial area may be concerned as epidermal, as in Chaetopterus and Pholas, but it may be coelomic like in earthworms or pelagic shrimps, green gland secretion, etc. Third, now before moving to the third type, I want to see you this diagram which is related to bioluminescence, and in this diagram there is subepithelial muscle, then photogenic cell type 1, photogenic cell type 2, vertical muscle, mucous muscle, subepithelial muscle, and ciliated epithelial there. And this diagram in this diagram there are two types of cells which we are seeing here. First is photogenic cell type 1 and photogenic cell type 2. These cells are very important for bioluminescence. So as you can see the structure here, so when we will be seeing third type, it will be more easy for you to understand. Okay, now let's see third type. In intracellular luminescence, in a number of cases, light-yielding reactions proceed within the cells. This type of light production is called as intracellular luminescence. Now, when the luminescence occur in the cells, within the cells, then this type of luminescence is known as intracellular luminescence. It occurs in more advanced groups as fishes, terrestrial arthropods, and cephalopods. So, this type of luminescence occur in advanced groups. Okay. It also occurs in some of the primitive groups where there are no specified photophores. Also, this type of reactions occur in groups where there are no specified photophores. Nicol 1962 stated this. Photophores are variously arranged. Now, photophores are variously arranged. In many cases, the groups of photophores are concentrated by an arrangement of mirrors and lenses to sparkle light like a lighted level in the darkness. Now, in some group of photophores, there are some cases in which group of photophores are concentrated by an arrangement. Some kind of arrangement is there of mirrors and lenses which helps to sparkle the light to a lighted level in the darkness. Some photophores look very much like eyes, in which the receptor surface or retina has been replaced by a photogenic light transmitting surface. So some type of photophores are like eyes, in which receptor surfaces are there or retina is there, and it is replaced by a photogenic light transmitting surface. The complexities in the arrangement of photophores are very much associated with intracellular luminescence. So the complexities in the arrangement of photophores are very much associated with intracellular luminescence. Next is distribution of bioluminescence. So distribution of bioluminescence. E. Neuter Harvey and his associates published a monograph in 1952. Now, Neuter Harvey and his associates published a monograph. What is the meaning of monograph here is monograph means a kind of a scholarly book in which many types of subjects or only one subject is generally explained, and it is generally written by only one person. So the monograph was written in 1952 by E. Neuter Harvey and his associates, which contained the information on the distribution of luminescent organs. So he just explained the distribution of bioluminescence in his monograph. Now we will see a diagram here. This diagram is of photophore. So in photophore, as we said, there are many types of lenses, reflectors, which help in just leveling up the luminescence. Okay, so this is a diagram of photophore structure. First here is cuticle, then hypodermis. In middle there is blood sinus. In sidewise there are lamellae, outer lens, rod mass, capillary, light cells, pigment layer, and reflector. This is the whole complete diagram of photophores, which helps in bioluminescence. So this was a diagram which is very important for exam point of view. So just showed you the diagram. Next thing. Now, in the monograph of Harvey, there was not only the distribution of bioluminescent organisms or bacteria, but also he showed us the biochemistry of light emission, biological significance, and probably phylogeny of organisms. Now, first distribution is of protozoa. There are many luminescent species. These are marine, radiolarians, and dinoflagellates. The best known examples are Noctiluca and Goniaulex. So, in protozoa, many luminescent species are present. They may be marine, radiolarians, dinoflagellates, and the best known examples are of Noctiluca and Goniaulex. The light producing granules are located throughout the organism, but particularly in the periphery. So in the periphery of these organisms, or we can say on the sidewise of these organisms, there are some kind of granules which are located, and these granules help them to bioluminescent. Then Noctiluca glows in response to mechanical stimulation. When we see Noctiluca, so the Noctiluca species generally glows when they are giving a response to the mechanical stimulation to their bodies. The glow originates in the region of oval groove and spreads as a wave over the body. So glow starts originating from a region of oval groove. Then this type of luminescence is spread over the whole body as like a wave over the body. Then for Coelenterata, this group includes a number of hydroid polyps, jellyfishes, siphonophores, sea pans, and sea pansies. It occurs only in response to stimuli, probably mechanical stimuli. Light production appears in part to be extracellular, in which luminous mucus can usually be readily rubbed from the surface of the organism, but is also intracellular in both sea pans and hydromedusae. So they are saying in some coelentrates there are kind of extracellular bioluminescence shown, and in some organisms they show intracellular also. So in sea pans and hydromedusae, intracellular is present, and usually in other organisms of coelentrates, light production appears to be extracellular, and these extracellularness is shown by luminous mucus, okay, which can be readily rubbed from the surface of the organism also. If we will rub the surface of the organism, then on our hands also these type of luminescent material will come on. Then annelids. Now in annelids, it is restricted only in the species of terrestrial oligochaetes and marine polychaetes. In annelids only we see bioluminescence in terrestrial oligochaetes and marine polychaetes. Okay, the polychaete Chaetopterus exhibits a striking luminosity, much of the surface becoming luminous whenever the worm is disturbed. So in Chaetopterus, there is kind of luminosity on the surface which become luminous wherever the worm is disturbed. The photogenic cells are located in the hypodermis along with mucous cells, both of which secrete their products to the exterior. So they are saying in Chaetopterus there is kind of luminescence over the surface, and it only shows luminescence whenever the worm is disturbed. Okay, and the photogenic cells are located in the hypodermis along with the mucous cells, both of which secrete their products to the exterior. Now here is a section of bioluminescent organ in Sergestes. We will note the name here, Sergestes, Sergestes. So the section looks like this. First part here is theca. Then after theca, basement membrane is there. Then light cells, lens epithelium, lens, connective tissue strand, hypodermis, and reflecting layer. So this is the bioluminescent organs section of Sergestes. Second section is of Rondelletia. We will note the name here, Rondelletia. Deleta, Rondelitia. So it is a kind of cephalopod, and in Rondelitia structure is the section of bioluminescent organ is like this. Light cells are there, lens are there, reflecting layer is present, then a pigmented layer is there. So this is the structure of section of bioluminescent organ of Rondelitia. Next is Ketopteris section of bioluminescent organ. Mucous cells are there, light cells are there, cuticle is present, and discharged light cells are there. So these are the three diagrams which we saw of bioluminescent organs. The sections of bioluminescent organs. Also, Poda and Arthropoda, luminous species are largely crustaceans and insects, rarely myriapods, arachnids. In Ostracochord Cypridina, we have learned much of the fundamental characteristics of the basic photogenic processes. The light producing organ is a large gland located near the mouth. Two kinds of cells can be seen in the living gland, one containing large yellow granules, luciferin, and other small colorless granules, luciferase. The granules are ejected by muscle contraction and the luminescence is extracellular. So in arthropod, first we saw the luminous species which are largely crustaceans, insects, and rarely myriapods and arachnids. In ostracod cypridina, there is a fundamental characteristic of basic photogenic process. The light producing organ is large gland, okay, which is located near the mouth. Then two kinds of cells can be seen in the living glands. One containing large yellow granules called luciferin, and in other small colorless granules called luciferase are present. The granules are ejected by muscle contraction and luminescence is extracellular. So as luminescence is extracellular, all the reactants will be expelled out of the body, and then the reaction of bioluminescence will take place and it will emit light. Then in copepods, we will note in copepods, sources of active agents is small groups of greenish secretory cells on various parts of the body. Now in copepods, there are source of active agents in small groups of greenish secretory cells of various parts of body. Many euphausids and shrimps possess rather highly differentiated organs having a reflecting layer and lens associated with the light producing cells. Among the insects, luminescence is restricted to the members of very few orders. The larvae of fungus Ceratoplanus has been described as luminescent. Now, in some insect, luminescence is only restricted to the members of very few orders, and the larva of fungus known as Ceratoplanus has been described as luminescent. The light appears to arise in the Malpighian tubules. Perhaps the most familiar and striking examples of light production in organisms are to be found among the Coleoptera, especially the lamphoroids and elatrids. Several species of myriapods secrete a luminous slime in much the same manner as the luminous earthworms. So this was all about the Arthropoda class. Phylum Arthropoda, sorry, I was saying class. So this was all about the phylum Arthropoda. Next phylum is Mollusca. In Mollusca, the cephalopods show the highest capacity of light production among mollusks. In majority, light is produced by cells of the animal itself. So generally, light is produced by the cells of the animal itself. It means that there is no symbiotic association or any symbiotic luminescence found here. Then in Echinodermata, only Ophiuroidea contains luminous species, a number of these having unicellular photogenic organs scattered over the body and luminescence in the response to any disturbance of the animals. So Echinodermata, only Ophiuroidea contains luminous species, and a number of these have unicellular photogenic organs scattered all over the body, and they only luminescence when they are disturbed, or we can say luminescence in response to any disturbance of the animal. Then finally we are with the chordates. The phenomena is restricted to the protochordates and fishes. Only in protochordates and fishes we are going to see the luminescence here. A luminous saline is produced by some species of Balanoglossus. Among tunicates, Pyrosoma is the best known example. This organism, luminescence on stimulation and aware of photogenic activity, spreads out over the whole colonial organism. Among fishes, elasmobranch and especially teleost fishes have numerous luminescent representatives. In some cases like Photoblepharon, Anamelops, Physiculus, Leognathus and Monocentris, the light is due to the presence of symbiotic bacteria and special organs found in cheeks or lower jaw. In Melacephalus, luminescent bacteria are expelled from ventral sac onto the ventral surface of the body when the fish is excited. There is no luminescent organs among the terrestrial vertebrates of plants. One thing here is that it must be written slime here because saline is not produced by any species of balanoglossus, so slime must come here. And also they are saying pyrosoma is the best known example of chordates showing bioluminescent, and this organism luminescence on stimulation and aware of photogenic activity and spreads out over the whole colonial organism. And among fishes they show elasmobranch and teleos fishes show luminescence respectively. And in some cases like Photoblepharon, Anomalous, Physiculus, and Luganathus and Monocentris, in these organisms light is due to the presence of symbiotic bacteria. Mind the words here, symbiotic bacteria are written in special organs found in the cheek or lower jaw. So in the cheek or lower jaw of some fishes, symbiotic bacteria may be present there. And in Melacocephalus, luminescent bacteria are expelled from ventral sac onto the ventral surface of the body when the fish is excited. So they are moving from ventral sac to the ventral surface when the fish is excited. There are no luminescent organs among the terrestrial vertebrates of plants. And in plants there are no terrestrial vertebrates or of plants which show bioluminescence.